Voting for HIP70 starts today, and the authors have implemented some last-minute changes to the proposal. They include changes to the lockup periods and a seed funding for Solana for hotspot owners to be able to transact on the new Solana L1 without purchasing Sol for themselves. This transition has had a lot of opposition from community members, but there is also a lot of people pushing for Solana to be the new L1 for the Helium network. There are plenty of positives coming from this transition, including a larger percentage of tokens being distributed to miners and proof of coverage and data transfers operating separately from the main L1. But many people are still questioning why Solana. Amir himself even nudged the founder of Polygon to buy some HNT and vote on HIP70 himself. Let's go over some of the major impacts from HIP70 and also some of the last minute changes to it in today's video. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the Crypto Compound channel. Thank you guys all so much for being here. If you guys are having a great day, please hit that like and subscribe on the way. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the very last minute updates that were just pushed through late last night into this morning into HIP70, which has just a few minutes ago opened for voting. This is one of the most impactful HIPs of all time here in the Helium community. We are now moving the L1 from the proprietary Helium blockchain to the Solana network if HIP70 passes. A lot of people very angry with this, not happy. A lot of people very excited, think it is a great synergy between the two cryptos. There are definitely a lot of positives we are getting, but there are also a lot of downsides. And the main question in people's minds is, are there better options? Or are there better crypto L1s out there that should have been up for vote rather than Solana? Amir Helium himself even nudging at Polygon co-founder to acquire some HNT and vote on HIP70 himself. Now, I find it a little interesting that he would go that far to say that. It sort of insinuates that you could sort of just buy the vote here, which is a major downside to the voting process here in the Helium community. So I'm a little surprised that Amir would actually do that, but we are going to go over some of the major benefits on moving to Solana and what that means for your HNT or your staked HNT. And we're also going to discuss these updates that the developers have outlined here last minute to this HIP. Guys, before we jump in, I just have to take a second to look at this chart. In my opinion, this chart is looking super optimistic. As you can see, we are currently holding just at this previous support line right around the $5.10 level. This is very good for Helium. Looking forward for a major change in momentum shift. As you can see, we are accumulating here multiple solid green candles on the daily. Very good stuff. As I mentioned, this doesn't mean we are going straight to the moon, straight to new all-time highs overnight or in the next few days or weeks. This will probably take months to recover, months of rebuilding a new trend and new momentum here. And if all goes well, I would expect to be retesting the all-time highs by the end of the year. And if we go over here, we can see Helium is at rank 68. Despite the huge surge in price we've had over the past few days, we haven't moved up that much in rank just because Helium really was down so much.
There's no idea what it's like out there. None!
It really was bad out there, but we are now back to reasonable levels for the time being. I would expect us to jump into a higher range in the next few days or coming weeks, getting closer to that $10 threshold. Now, guys, before we jump into the last minute updates, I do want to touch on the major key benefits here for this migration to Solana that we will experience if this HIP does get approved. One of them being more rewards for hotspot owners. This is because validators are going away. They are being shifted to oracles. This means that part of the HNT that those validators were earning will now go to hotspot owners. That accounts for about 2 million HNT rewards that will return to the rewards pool annually. And this, of course, will benefit hotspot owners across IoT and 5G networks. Secondly, there are more chances of mining. Proof of coverage now with this change will become more consistent. That is because it is being released. The validators again, are going away, and a separate oracle on a separate server will be in charge of proof of coverage, allowing for it to be way more consistent and more scalable. Thirdly, better network. They say better network. That's a little bit of a weird benefit to say, but data transfers for devices is faster, more reliable, and more scalable. This is because we are now on Solana, and we have the benefit of being decentralized even further with the two oracles of proof of coverage and data transfer. Now, guys, I want to clarify, even if the Solana blockchain does come to an halt, data transfers and proof of coverage will still be operating outside of the L1 Solana blockchain. That is a massive benefit of this move. Of course, the hope is that Solana never goes down, but it has gone down in the past, which is part of the reason why a lot of people aren't happy with this move. But this is where we are. We're voting on Solana. This is what HIP70 is. So that is what we're working with. Of course, if you disagree with this Solana move, you can vote no. I'm leaning towards voting yes. However, I'm still up in the air. I want to do a little bit more digging. Now, guys, I want to touch on this because I think that this is the most impactful change here of going to the L1, and that is, what do oracles do? And it says currently proof of coverage and data transfer transactions are processed on the Helium blockchain. HIP70 proposes to move this to oracles to simplify the entire architecture and ensure data continues to flow and hotspots can participate in proof of coverage even if the blockchain itself is offline. Now, they make it very clear that the oracles themselves do not run on Solana. So these are independently operated. You can think of them as independent servers that are serving a function and sending third-party data to the blockchain. So as you can see, they are a separate infrastructure that is independent of the blockchain to improve resiliency and performance. This, I think, is one of the largest benefits of moving and separating these responsibilities from validators and moving them to oracles. And of course, we do get that added benefit of a few more percentage points of HNT going to hotspot owners, which everyone should really like, because when they got taken away a few months ago, everyone was super upset. So guys, let's take a look at these updates. This is the update announcing these changes from the developers late last night, and there are 3 of them here. One of them is the lockup period being reduced from 6 months to 3 months. So this is going to give us more flexibility if people want to move or sell or transfer their HNT sooner rather than later, and it is currently staked. This now allows them to do that within 3 months rather than 6 months. That is a much added benefit to people who are trying to move their HNT sooner rather than later, whether they're happy or upset with this migration. Now, they also made an update that there is no more vesting HNT, because now all staked HNT is going to immediately become VHNT after the proposal. That is vote escrowed HNT, and that is what will be available once this migration happens. That is part of the DAO and sub-DAO infrastructure. This vote escrowed HNT is going to serve as voting towards what protocol on the Helium network you want to support. Every hotspot owner is going to be able to do that with their own wallets, and they will be able to, that is how they will be able to earn certain sub-DAO tokens that are then redeemable for HNT. Now, guys, they also propose that the Helium core developers seed a small amount of Sol, Solana's native token, to migrated Helium wallet addresses with hotspots or validators, so that hotspot owners and validators will be able to immediately use transactions upon the migration without needing to acquire Solana. This is effectively saying they will cover the initial fees of having to use the network, because there are fees associated with all these blockchains. So if they seed you a little bit of Sol, it means that you will be able to make transactions and transact on Solana's blockchain without having to go out and buy Sol yourself. I think that is a very smart thing to do. I think it is sort of something that people would expect the developers to do after a migration like this. So that is good to see in here, and I think that is certainly a plus. And finally, there is also a proposed 3 times bonus to encourage initial staking of vote escrowed HNT, or VHNT. This is interesting. This is sort of an initiative to then stake and lock up your HNT as VHNT and vote it towards a protocol. I think they are doing this to incentivize people to hold long term, which I would encourage always, but this is good, and I would expect it to encourage more people to hold their HNT as VHNT rather than sell it. Those are three major updates. I think the third one is the most interesting and will certainly incentivize people to hold HNT more longer term. And we can see just down here, here is the 3x VHNT bonus that will be applied to any wallet that stakes HNT in the introductory period. Very interesting incentive here to stake your HNT or convert it into vote escrowed HNT and point it at a subDAO. I think it will work. That is a very creative initiative, I think. I think a lot of people will also have some criticisms for that, saying that with this initiative, they're trying to artificially convince people to hold their HNT longer, which I think is a valid criticism to this, but it also is a way to keep the network more stable right when this transition happened. But guys, as we can see, here is heliumvote.com. The voting just opened a few minutes ago, and it is currently 94% to about 6%. This is literally within the first 10 minutes. It is going to be very interesting to see how this evolves over time. And of course, like always, the more HNT you have, the more voting power you have as well. So as major whales come in and do the voting, it is going to shift the vote in either direction. It will be very interesting to see if they are in opposite directions of each other, but time will tell. Guys, thank you all so much for being here. Make sure to go out and vote if you want to, whether it's for this or against it. Let me know your comments and questions down below. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, but just like that, this video is over, and I will see you next time.